Congratulations on getting to this stage in your HUD bid application process. Our role. During this process, our role is to assist with Earnest Money Delivery, EMD, contract help, and selecting a closing agent. Before we get started, we want you to know our preferred method of contact is email. It's also the fastest way to reach us and get a response. Email us at edward.hewlitz@blue.realestate.com. If you need to speak to us directly, you can reach us at 206-866-5844. Please leave a brief message with our call coordinator and be prepared to reference the property address you are calling on, including city and state. Your assigned closing coordinator will return your call as quickly as possible. However, please keep in mind the answers to your questions can be answered quicker and more efficiently via email. Working with HUD. To start with, in a HUD transaction, you are dealing with the federal government, and unlike a seller-to-buyer transaction, the federal government calls all the shots. You will be working with HUD contracts, HUD forms, HUD timelines, and following HUD procedures for the entirety of this transaction. Selling agent responsibilities. Selling agent is responsible for explaining to the purchaser if their bid does not include closing costs. They will be responsible for the closing agent fee. If there are not sufficient funds remaining from the Line 5 costs at closing, the buyer may still be responsible for the closing agent fee. The selling agent submits the offer on behalf of the buyer. The selling agent also monitors your HUD Home Store account for bid award notification. You will complete the new addendum, Buyer Select Closing Agent. Submit the Buyer Select addendum with the sales contract and send to Sage. Remit original earnest money to the listing broker. Provide a copy of the check in the original contract package sent to Sage. Earnest money must be received by our office. Earnest money must be received by our office prior to contract execution, and check is to be made payable to the selected closing agent. Not submitting the addendum with the contract package will create delays in executing the contract. And be aware, not submitting the earnest money to the listing broker could result in the cancellation of your bid. Listing broker responsibilities. The listing broker is responsible for contacting the selling agent after bid award. Answer any questions on how to complete the sales contract. Remind the agent to complete the Buyer Select addendum. And provide instructions regarding remitting the original earnest money to our office. Receive earnest money and ensure that it is the correct amount and made payable to the correct payee. Do not accept earnest money with errors. Notify Sage when no earnest money is received on an awarded bid. Remit earnest money to the buyer selected closing agent within 2 business days of contract execution. Understanding as is. All HUD properties are sold as is. This includes both items called out on inspection reports and any lending conditions that may come up on the appraisal. HUD will not make any repairs and will not allow you to use results from either report as a negotiation tool. No repairs or compensations are allowed. There are no warranties, guarantees, or representations about the property, FHA insurable or otherwise. As is really does mean as is. Managing the buyer's expectations. It is imperative that you, as the selling agent, understand this, convey this to your buyer, and manage your buyer's expectations going forward. Failure to follow these instructions will result in cancellation of your buyer's contract and possibly put your buyer's earnest money deposit in jeopardy. Let's go over the immediate steps to take. Number 1, select a closing agent. We'll cover this in more details in a moment. Obtain EMD in the form of certified funds made out to the closing agent, not our office. Deliver original EMD to our office within 2 business days. For Florida transactions, deliver EMD to Blue Dot Real Estate, 100 South Ashley Street, Suite 600, Tampa, Florida, 33602. For Maryland transactions, deliver EMD to Blue Dot Real Estate, 6701 Melford Boulevard, Suite 400, Bowie, Maryland, 20714. Our offices are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. We are closed weekends and holidays. Step 4. Complete the contract package. 5. Email completed contract package to edward.hewlitz@blue.realestate.com for review. 6. Deliver original contract with a copy of EMD to Sage Acquisitions within 2 business days. Florida transactions, deliver contract package and copy of EMD to Sage Acquisitions, 1850 Parkway Place, Suite 500, Marietta, Georgia, 30328. Attention, contracts. Maryland transactions deliver contract package and copy of EMD to Sage Acquisitions, 1515 Market Street, Suite 1800, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19102. Attention, contracts. Selecting a closing agent. A closing agent must be an attorney, title company, or escrow company and follow applicable federal, state, and local laws for your state. HUD requires all buyer select closing agents to be covered by errors and omissions insurance of at least $1 million. Portal access will be established at time of receipt of title ID. A closing agent must log in every 90 days to stay active. From tax liens to utility liens and everything in between, they all need to be cleared. Although the liens themselves will be paid off by HUD prior to closing, any delay will result in per diem penalties for your buyer. For these reasons, we strongly recommend that you select a closing agent that has experience closing HUD transactions. Selecting a lender. Similar to selecting a closing agent that is experienced in closing HUD transactions, we also recommend that your buyer selects a lender that has experience funding HUD transactions. Once selected, it is very important that the lender orders the appraisal right away and continues to work ahead of schedule throughout the transaction. Inevitably, loan conditions will come up. We want to make sure they have plenty of time to resolve them well ahead of schedule to avoid per diem penalties for your buyer. Our closing coordinator will be following up with them throughout the transaction, and we ask that you follow up with them as well. On to the contract. Included in your bid acceptance email will be instructions on where to go to download your buyer's contract, required forms, and addendums. Prior to submitting your contract package, the purchaser must provide you, the selling agent, with a copy of their driver's license. Original contract must be signed by buyer in blue ink, no electronic signatures. Completing the BSCA addendum. Please type the form. Illegible forms will be rejected. Verify the complete company name and full mailing address. Address errors will be rejected. In the case of multiple offices, each office needs its own title ID. Verify the email address. All Sage correspondence will go to this email address, including the initial contract package. Attach E&O insurance. Remember, it needs to be at least a $1 million policy. Attach license to close transactions in that state. For attorneys, we need the state bar license. For title companies, the state regulatory agency license. Contract cannot be executed until the BSCA is received and a title ID is assigned. The BSCA must have a title ID to answer yes to the question, have you ever closed a HUD-owned property? Third-party closings under previous HUD-designated closing agents do not count. Previous HUD-designated closing agents must now apply for this title ID as well. Earnest money. Deposit amounts, certified funds only. $500 for sales price under $50,000. $1,000 for sales price of $50,001 and up. The sales agent will be responsible for delivering earnest money on all awarded bids to the listing broker. The listing broker will only accept certified funds and will verify the correct amount of earnest money and name of the payee. The payee will always be the closing agent. The listing broker will ensure that the earnest money is remitted within 2 business days of contract execution by Sage to the closing agent. This may be entirely or partially forfeited or refunded if the contract fails to close. Specifics are outlined in the forfeiture and extension policy. The original money order or cashier's check must be delivered to our office within 2 business days. We recommend that you hand deliver the check or overnight your package via FedEx, UPS, or its equivalent to have it tracked. Please provide the information page from your contract located on the HUD Home Store site and include the closing company, their mailing address, and the closer who will be working on the transaction. Time is of the essence here. If you're using an overnight service, you will need to get it out by 6 p.m. the same day as acceptance of your bid. Failure to deliver the earnest money to our office within 2 business days will cause your contract to be rejected. Deliver original EMD to our office within 2 business days. For Florida transactions, deliver EMD to Blue Dot Real Estate, 100 South Ashley Street, Suite 600, Tampa, Florida, 33602. For Maryland transactions, deliver EMD to Blue Dot Real Estate, 6701 Melford Boulevard, Suite 400, Bowie, Maryland, 20714. Remember, our offices are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and we are closed weekends and holidays. Requirements of proof of funds. Pre-qualification letter, required on contracts being submitted with FHA or conventional financing. Must be printed on the lender's letterhead. Must have property address. Must have purchaser's name. Must be dated within 30 days of the bid acceptance date. Must confirm the type of financing the purchaser has applied for. Must confirm the amount the purchaser has been approved for. Must confirm the purchaser's credit has been obtained and reviewed. Approved loan amount must meet or exceed the gross purchase price. Proof of cash funds available, required on contracts being submitted for cash purchase. Copy of bank statement verifying funds are available. Account number may be blacked out on bank statements or other related documents. Purchaser's name must be on the statement regardless of document type. Statement must be dated within 30 days of bid acceptance date. Available account balance must meet or be greater than the gross purchase price. Here are some common errors to avoid. Social Security numbers, double and triple check these. The buyer's name must match exactly on lines 1, 2, and 13 of Form HUD 9548. This includes middle initials or a full last name. It must be exact on all 3 lines. After the contract or bid submission prints out, all wet signatures must be in blue ink. Initials on line 12 acknowledging the earnest money policy. Remember, you cannot use whiteout or liquid paper on any contractual documents. Corrections required by Sage may mean writing a new sales contract, a new pre-qual letter, and obtaining your buyer's signatures again. Make every effort to submit your contract correctly the first time. Review the contract package. Once the buyer has completed filling out and signing the contract package, email us a copy so that we can review it for accuracy. Send it to edward.hewlitz@blue.realestate.com. This is our specialty. An extra set of eyes and experts who have a lot of experience in this area are the best way to help you ensure that everything is done correctly the first time. After you receive the okay from our transaction management team, the original contract along with a copy of Earnest Money must be delivered to Sage Acquisitions within 2 business days of acceptance of your bid. Submitting the contract for a winning bid. 1. Ensure the entire package is received at Sage's office within 2 business days of notification. 2. Hand deliver or overnight mail the package. 3. Sage will sign off on the contract and forward it via email to you and the closing attorney. The ratified contract date is the contract's official acceptance date. It is recommended that you overnight your package via FedEx, UPS, or its equivalent and have it tracked. Again, time is of the essence. You only have 2 business days to deliver your contract to Sage Acquisitions. Your contract will be rejected if you cannot meet this timeline. Delivery of accepted offer contract. Florida Contracts, Sage Acquisitions, 1850 Parkway Place, Suite 500, Marietta, Georgia, 30328, Attention Contracts. Maryland Contracts, Sage Acquisitions, 1515 Market Street, Suite 1800, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19102, Attention Contracts. Corrections required by Sage may mean writing a new sales contract, a new pre-qual letter, and obtaining your buyer's signatures again. We know we already said this. We're saying it again. Please make every effort to submit your contract correctly the first time. With contract corrections, it takes 2 calendar days to return corrected contract. This may require a new contract package. Contract will be canceled or awarded to the next highest bidder if the contract return still contains errors. Contract amendments, the Forms tab. You have these options: add, remove purchaser, change of financing, contract corrections, which is corrections to buyer's name, address, vesting. These amendments are not valid unless approved in writing by both seller and purchaser. Only Sage is able to modify terms of contract and process any changes to the contract. Amendment information. Changing financing from 203K to any other method of financing or cash. Contract loses 15 days. It's retroactive, so the contract may now become expired due to this reduction, and an extension will need to be filed. Support the extension with evidence of ability to close so it can be approved. Fees may not be waived. Buyer will be responsible for reimbursing HUD for completed termite and LBP inspections and stabilization. Changing financing from other or cash to any type of FHA. LBP and termite must now be ordered. Termite is 5 to 7 business days for inspection, if WDO found additional time necessary for treatment and clearance. LBP inspection 7 to 10 business days for inspection, if hazard found additional time for abatement and final clearance. Changing financing on properties built prior to 1978. Must submit LBP addendum with amendment that reflects the financing change. If changing to 203K, must submit the 203K financing LBP addendum in addition to the standard LBP addendum. Address changes and name changes. Not necessarily a quick fix and will not be done the day of closing. Address changes require research and must be verified before approved. These may reveal bigger issues that delay or prevent sales, so please be patient. Escrow changes. Repair escrow is the sole discretion of the lender. Increases and decreases permissible at lender's request. Contract is executed with TBD to prevent a need for multiple amendments. If lender requires an actual number and not TBD, Sage will be happy to accommodate. Send request to atlanta.amendment@sageacq.com, denver.amendment@sageacq.com, philadelphia.amendment@sageacq.com. Buyer type changes, not always approved, based on bidding cycles and if the change is permissible. Remember, amendments take 72 hours to process. Amendments will not be executed the day of closing, and failure to follow the above-mentioned rules may result in a delayed or rescheduled closing. Under contract properties. Home inspections, optional but highly recommended. 15-day due diligence period for owner-occupants. Borrower will be allowed to get a home inspection anytime during the process. Cannot begin process until contract is signed. You have 72 hours to complete home inspection after last utility is turned on. All utilities must be turned off after inspections. Utilities. Utilities will not be activated unless you, the listing agent, request it by going to sageacq.com and selecting the proper form. Utilities will only be activated for a 72-hour period, and the buyer will be responsible for any costs associated with the activation. Utility activation forms can be found under Forms at sageacq.com. Termite letters. Stipulations for HUD to provide a Termites and WDO letter. State or zone mandated FHA financing. Must meet either of the above conditions. HUD will fund treatment and repairs. If the property does not meet the above conditions, buyer can have inspection performed at any time at their own cost if the contract is accepted. Buyer will be responsible for treatment and repairs. LBP Stabilization. Stipulations for HUD to complete an LBP assessment. Built before 1978. Owner-occupant, FHA financing. Must meet all of the above conditions. Requests made to FSM for inspections through AM via P260 at contract execution. HUD will fund up to $4,000. For stabilization exceeding $4,000, HUD will, at their sole discretion, either cancel the sales contract and buyer receives 100% earnest money back, or be allowed to change financing to 203K, conventional, or 203K streamline only if less than $5,000. LBP and WDO. To inquire about the status of or receive a copy of the applicable reports, email Atlanta lbpwdo@sageacq.com, denver.lbpwdo@sageacq.com, or philadelphia.lbpwdo@sageacq.com. Under contract vandalism. If this occurs, download report vandalism change in condition form, complete and email to appropriate HOC. Atlanta.vandalism@sageacq.com, Denver.vandalism@sageacq.com, Philadelphia.vandalism@sageacq.com. Options for moving forward toward closing are postponing closing and postponing extension fees. If requesting an extension, then include extension request form. Remember, buyers cannot move in or start repairs prior to closing. Selling agents must accompany buyers, inspectors, etc. to HUD properties at all times prior to closing. Let's move on to closing activities. Pre-closing activities. The closing agent establishes a closing file immediately upon receipt of a complete contract package from Sage. A complete contract package includes signed sales contract, HUD 9548 with any addendums and amendments. Earnest money, certified funds only, cashier's check or money order. The closing agent requests all HOA fees, taxes, utilities, and any other demands. Closing agent forwards all applicable demands with supporting documents to Sage for approval. Demands remitted no later than 10 days prior to closing to ensure timely payment and approval. Fees requiring payment in advance of closing. The closing agent, selling agent cannot pay fees for, including but not limited to, paid assessment letters, deed or transfer stamps without prior approval from Sage. Reimbursement on the HUD-1 out of the seller's proceeds for payment of these fees will not occur without prior approval from Sage. Send requests with supporting documents to Sage. Approval to pay and seek reimbursement on the HUD 1 will be sent back to the remitter via email within 48 hours. Reimbursement will not occur if the file fails to close. The closing agent shall process and handle any and all loan documents the lender requires for a customary HUD closing. To ensure there are no delays, the closing agent shall provide timely processing and delivery of the signed loan documents to the lender. Please be notified, in some instances, a sale may be canceled by HUD and/or Sage due to title issues. In these instances, the purchaser will not be reimbursed for the fees incurred prior to the cancellation. Closing timelines. FHA conventional closes 45 days from contract acceptance. Cash closing closes 30 days from contract acceptance. 203K closing closes 60 days from contract acceptance. Quicker closings are allowed and encouraged. Sage Acquisitions will always facilitate earlier closings if possible. About extensions. Extensions are purchased by the buyer and granted in 15-day packages. The amount is based on the purchase price of the home. If the contract closes prior to use of all 15 days, the remaining per-day fee will be prorated to the buyer and refunded by escrow. If the property sale is $0 to $25,000, the cost per day fee is $10 per day in a 15-day increment. The fee to the buyer is $150. If the property sale is $25,001 to $50,000, the cost per day fee is $15 per day in a 15-day increment. The fee to the buyer is $225. If the property sale is $50,001 and above, there is a $25 cost per day fee in 15-day increments, at a cost to the buyer of $375. Fee and request form must be submitted to Sage 5 days prior to expiration. Hard copies must be remitted with the fee to the Sage's office. Payments must be submitted in the form of certified funds and must be made payable to HUD. They must include supporting documents, including current lender letter or proof of cash funds and extension fee. Extension email. For Florida properties, email atlanta.extension@sageacq.com. For Maryland properties, email philadelphia.extension@sageacq.com. Sage will return via email the executed extension form indicating approved or denied to the selling agent. Waived fees are available for delays by HUD, Sage, or the FSM, Field Service Manager. Owner-occupants will be granted one free extension when there has been a delay with financing and all buyer documents have been submitted timely. 2 free extensions will be granted in 15-day increments for 203K loans. Note, buyer will not be reimbursed for lender lock rate extensions, regardless of the cause of the delay. Canceling the contract. If you are made aware that a purchaser is not going to close, please contact Sage ASAP. Do not let the contract just cancel on its own. Use the contract release and earnest money disposition request forms from the Sage website to initiate contract cancellation process, accompany with the necessary documentation to request a refund. For Florida contracts, email atlanta.cancellation@sageacq.com. For Maryland contracts, email philadelphia.cancellation@sageacq.com. An email will be sent to the selling agent and listing broker and the BSCA with a determination of release of earnest money. Failure to submit a cancellation will result in automatic forfeiture of earnest money. Note, it is important to submit these forms prior to the expiration of the sales contract. Pre-closing walkthrough. It's recommended that you complete this the day prior to or the day of closing. If lockbox is removed, coordinate with LLB to retrieve key for buyer. If there are issues, vandalism, etc., contact Sage as soon as possible. Closing will be postponed to attend to issues. Extension fee will be waived. Closing protocol. Closing documents need to be into the closing agent's office from the lender at least 5 days prior to closing. Closing agent will send to Sage for review. When approved, Sage will return the documents to the closing agent electronically. 2 business days after closing has occurred, a final post-closing package is due to Sage by the closing agent. Post-closing. The buyer can now have utilities activated for permanent use and occupy the premises. Keys will not be provided to the selling agent or the buyer. Buyer must have locks rekeyed post-closing at their expense. Post-closing timeline. The closing agent performs all necessary post-closing activities, including, but not limited to, those outlined to ensure HUD is able to accurately and timely reconcile the closing. The closing agent must retain copies to verify completion of each task. Day of closing. Closing agent updates P260 with actual closing date to confirm closing. No later than 1 day after closing. Net proceeds wired to the U.S. Treasury via FedWire using HUD form SAMS 1103 and wire information provided by Sage at the time of contract execution. delivery of deed for legal recordation in the appropriate county, and provide written verification to the taxing authority and HOA. We are here for your success. It is our priority to help you get this property closed as quickly and efficiently as possible. As we stated at the beginning of this presentation, working on a HUD transaction is not the same as a typical real estate transaction. We understand this, and we also understand that there may be some issues that come up along the way that need to be addressed. We are here to guide you. As long as you follow our lead and manage your buyer's expectations, we will get this closed. Please feel free to email us at edward.hewlitz@blue.realestate.com if you have further questions or need advice. Our closing coordinator will be reaching out to you shortly to introduce themselves to you and to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for taking the time to preview this presentation. Additional information can be found at HUD.gov. All forms and addendums can be located at sageacquisitions.com. This presentation has been provided to you as a courtesy from Edward Hewlitz, Blue Dot Real Estate, Inc. For additional questions related to the HUD home purchasing process, or if you're interested in purchasing a HUD home, please contact us, Blue Dot Real Estate, Edward Hewlitz. Edward.Hewlitz@blue.realestate.com, 206-866-5844.